Hello, my friends from Snakes and Coffee. Well, let's see. It is cold outside today. I was just brushing snow off the van and thinking to myself, my gosh, when does the warm weather come and I can get back out there and look for all those little critters out there, see all our 17 beautiful creatures. But we have to wait. But what could we do while we're waiting? Well, guess what? Got a call from an old friend, really good friend. And he said, hey, I'm down here in Belize doing my thing. Maybe your people would be interested in seeing my world. Yeah, that's right. Get a little bit of reptile, animal, juices going there, right? Yeah. So, guess what? We are now going to collaborate with my friend, Arie Hoogerbrugge. And Arie Hoogerbrugge is one heck of a dude because he's down in Belize building homes. Yeah, these little homes for people who want to come down and maybe join him, maybe start their own business or something like that. There's some cool stuff he's doing. So, anyways, I want you to listen to my friend Arie. He's going to talk to you guys for a little bit, let you know about his world. But what's going to happen is, while these cold weather situations are going on, you guys are going to still get to see some cool animals because Arie's going to show you the world that he lives in, right? And you're going to love it. So, get prepared, and you're going to learn a lot about him, right? Learn about the animals that are around him. Jaguars, right? Oh, Howler monkeys. Whoa! Oh, just love it all. And he is a dude. We met 35 years ago, and I haven't looked back, man. Basically, he's a guy who changed my world. Yeah, so I definitely think you guys will enjoy every little bit that you get to see with him. Also, this guy rode across from one part of Canada all the way across, down through the United States, down through Mexico, and right into Belize, and now he's been living there for the last 4 years. He's going to tell you about that anyways. But I'm just telling you. So, guys, what's going to happen is you're going to get to see probably a video once a week and get to see what's going on down in Belize. And then when the warm weather comes back, and we can then introduce our little friends. So you're always getting a little bit of reptile love and animal love back to you guys. And that's what it's about. We just want to make sure you guys are happy. So, here's Arie to talk to you about Arie and where he lives.
Good day. My name is Arie Hoogerbrugge. I am 52 years young, originally from Grimsby, Ontario, Canada. And the purpose of this video introduction to me is that I am collaborating with Paul Kennedy from Snakes and Coffee, his YouTube channel. And we are going to do a bunch of videos together, introducing you guys to Belize. I've known Paul for almost 35 years, which I'm going to assume that we're going to get into later on in the video when he joins me. But anyways, the purpose of this particular video in itself is just a quick introduction to me and what I'm doing here in Belize. I live in the village of Scotland Half Moon in the Belize district in the country of Belize. And so, yeah, hopefully we can bring some interesting content to you guys during the winter months for Snakes and Coffee, and then also for my own channel. Anyways, I'm going to make this introduction as brief as possible because a couple things is, whatever Paul wants to kind of get into in either this particular video or in future videos, then we'll just elaborate on certain things. But until then, I'm going to do my very best to keep this short and sweet. And what I'll do is I'll just give you a quick tour around the house, more or less, the yard and the house kind of deal. So right behind me is my home. I should just backtrack. My first trip to Belize was in 1997. I purchased this home in 2003. At the time, the house was actually on the ground. It's since had to be rebuilt because that tree back there, the roots grew under the foundation of the house and caused the house literally to be pulled in 3 different directions. So we had to dismantle the house and rebuild it 4 feet off the ground to allow that tree behind me to continue growing. And so anyways, yes, purchased the house in 2003. Since then, I have also purchased a 10-acre plot plus another additional 30-acre plot. So the house sits on 2 acres, plus I have 10 plus 30, so 42 acres in the jungle of Belize. Anyways, like I said, came in 1997, bought the house in 2003. I did not actually live here full time until November 23rd, 2021, which is actually kind of an interesting story just from the aspect of how I arrived here in Belize. I actually, November 12th, 2019, sorry, I had to think about that for a second. November 12th, 2019, I actually started a bicycle ride in St. John's, Newfoundland, most eastern point in Canada. And I ended up biking through the 2019-20 Canadian winter on my bicycle, all through Atlantic Canada. Arrived in Kingston, Ontario, first day of spring, 4,900 kilometers through the winter. And that was also the eve of COVID-19, I think they called it. My memory's getting old. Anyways, that stopped me for a few months, but then I continued west and anyways, crossed Canada, 12,340 kilometers. Then I flew into the US because that was the only way Canadians could fly or get into the US during COVID. I did about 8,000 kilometers over 8 months in the US down to Mexico. And then in Mexico, I did about 6,000 kilometers over 6 months in Mexico. So 26,000 kilometers, 2 years and like a week or two. And I arrived here and I've been living here full time ever since. So that's kind of the very quick story of how I kind of got here and why I'm here. So what we'll just do now is I'll just do a quick video of the, around the house itself. And like I said, I will intentionally keep it fairly quick and fairly vague. And like I said, we'll get into anything in more detail that Paul wants to get into. So now when I arrived November of 2021, basically only the house was behind me. That's it. There was nothing else. Everything else, because I'm about to show you a whole bunch of other stuff that was not here. I've actually been quite busy these last 4 years. I'm literally coming up to, by the time you actually see this video, I'm sure I'll have actually crossed into my 4th year here in Belize full time. But in that 4 years, I've been actually quite busy in the jungle. So I will just give a quick tour of all the things I've been working on ever since I arrived. I'm just going to turn the phone around. So what we're actually looking at here is a greenhouse a shade cloth greenhouse. This was the first project. It's pretty much 1,000 square feet. It's a little bit of a mess. Basically, right now, like when I built it, I actually decided to put like a little, what I call a little apartment in the corner. And so right now there's another Canadian living in there, but within a matter of weeks, he is actually moving. And so that will change the dynamics of the farm considerably. So right now, like this is all kind of his stuff. So I saw has to get organized and cleaned out. This is my little area. This is all various fruit trees and various jungle trees, jungle species. That was always my dream. My goal was to raise seedling trees for reforestation of jungle and rainforest. And this is sort of my half-ass attempt at it. So who knows, when all this is gone, then perhaps we got some more space to do that, and we'll see how that plays out. So anyways, this was sort of my first project. And then from there, I started to expand outside the greenhouse, and I ended up laying about a 1,600 square foot floor here. And this is actually meant to be a second shade cloth greenhouse. unlike this one being completely enclosed and sealed in, this one will just be a canopy of shade cloth. These are actually the posts. And yeah, so this would just be a canopy shade cloth. Right now, these are hot peppers, or this is what was supposed to be hot peppers from the other guy living here. But after he leaves, this stuff will, I'm not sure what's going to exactly happen with it, but this is more future space for the potential for greenhouse planting. And yeah, until he leaves, I still haven't got most of this stuff sort of figured out. Anyways, another project that I've been working on is directly in front, and here just to the left are two cabanas. And I built them earlier this year, and the reason I built them, and they're actually at different levels of completion. As you can see, they both need to be painted. I'm still working on the interior. The purpose of them is basically, the interest is and the hope is that perhaps I can convince some other like-minded people that might want to join me in the jungle, and see what we could potentially do on this farm that I have. Because basically, in the grand scheme of things, I'm completely by myself, and I got 42 acres of land here. Beyond, just in front of us, there's a bit of a tree line. Right on the other side of that tree line is the Belize River, so I'm actually on the Belize River. Now, earlier in the year, I had some heavy equipment come in and fill all this in because it was all bush and low area that used to flood extensively. And so another project that we had, or that I had done earlier in the year, is I had an excavator and a bulldozer come in, and they dug this very large pond. And in this very large pond, all that dirt got spread to fill all this in. So anyways, that was another project for this particular year. Another project that I started fairly shortly after arriving is, well, you can see I've got some ducks and there's a few chickens. But this is what I affectionately refer to as Chicken City. I never intended it to get this big, but it just sort of got this big. And yeah, this is kind of like my chickens and my chicken coops, and I raise all my own chicken meat and all my own eggs. And so this is where I do all that. And so, yeah, this, like I said, it never was my intention to get that big, but it just kind of happened. I'm a bit of a workaholic. Once I just start building, I just keep building. Anyways, in a sense, that's more or less it. Basically, the house sits on 2 acres, more or less, connected to the Belize River. And then, like I said, I have a 10-acre and a 30-acre parcel, so I can sort of show you that in a sense. So this is my front gate, but if you look, whatever you sort of see, there's where the vegetation all of a sudden sort of gets higher. That's actually a fence line. So technically, this is not my land. My land starts at that fence line, and basically there's a squarish shaped 10 acres right there. And then there's another 30-acre parcel beyond that 10 acres. And so basically this 10 acres that's in front of us, perhaps maybe 3 acres of a rectangular shape, is more or less open. And then there's about 300 coconut trees, plus at least 300 assorted fruit trees of various sizes grown in that area. So yeah, so 10 acres, 3 is basically open, 7 is reclaimed jungle. And then the 30 acres that is beyond the jungle that you can see, I would say probably another 3 acres of that is cleared, where there's 2 large fish ponds, 300 feet by 50 feet by about 10 feet deep there. And then the rest of all that is regrown jungle. So most of my land is actually rainforest / jungle, which is the plan is to keep it that way. But I have about 6 acres more or less that is opened up for fruit trees or various types of trees. And yeah, I think that's basically where I'm going to keep this. Actually, just for the heck of it, just because I can take a minute or two. A couple of years ago, I had 2 bush dogs show up. So this is Saucy, And this is Pepper. I'm gonna confess, I'm a reptile guy, not a dog person, but these two dogs showed up completely malnourished out of the bush. And well, what can I say? They like it here. They are confined. They are confined to the yard. I have a fence completely around the house because, believe it or not, guaranteed out there, guaranteed if they were to run loose, jaguars and mountain lions would take them down. I live in an area that's got a very, very high concentration of mountain lions and jaguars. And yes, they've been spotted and many times, and their tracks are like all over the place, generally during the rainy season when there's a little bit of mud. I guarantee you, I can go anywhere I want and I can find mountain lion or jaguar tracks. And then, of course, in the interest of the Snakes and Coffee channel, tons of reptiles, boa constrictors, red rump tarantulas, fer-de-lance snakes. Fer-de-lance snakes are actually one of the most common snakes in the backyard. There was at one point where I think I came across 6 babies in a short span of like 6 months, 6 different babies. So yeah, lots of reptiles, parrots. I do live in the community baboon sanctuary. Maybe one other fact before I close off, and we just heard a tree frog. So lots of tree frogs, of course. But I live in the middle of the community baboon sanctuary, which is basically a grassroots conservation reserve area that protects the mission is to protect the black howler monkey. So black howler monkeys, they are actually happen to be very quiet right now, but they're generally quite noisy. And I'm basically completely surrounded by them. And yes, they do come in the yard. They actually just in the trees behind drives the dog nuts because those dogs are basically hunting dogs. So when they see the monkeys, they go absolutely nuts. But yeah, so we have a very, very high concentration of black howler monkeys and parrots and you name it. And so anyways, I think this is where I'm going to close off this video, and we'll see what Paul wants to talk about from here. And then, of course, I think you guys can probably count on a whole lot of other videos in the future about my adventures down here in Belize.